Greetings, Father Joe here, your friendly neighborhood pastor, coming to you from St. Patrick's Church in lovely Highland Mills, New York. Today is Tuesday of the fourth week in Lent, and we have just a very beautiful reading from the book of the prophet Ezekiel. It comes from chapter 47, and just to put this into context, in the book of the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 10 and 46 kind of they function as kind of like bookends, because in the first 9 chapters, the Israelites, the Jews, they have turned away from God and they become more evil and wicked. And so angels come down. Ezekiel sees this in a vision, but angels come down. And the glory of the Lord, the Shekinah Yahweh, the presence of the Lord on the propitiatory, the mercy seat, it leaves the temple. The angels come and they accompany God's glory out of the temple. So that means that the people are alone. When I read this in the seminary, I wept. Uncontrollable tears. I could not believe what a tragedy that could be in my life in the church. The glory of the Lord is what led the people out of Egypt and through the desert. It would come down and it would rest on top of the Ark of the Covenant. On the top of the Ark of the Covenant, they had 2 angel statues with their wings coming out and covering the Ark. And the glory of the Lord would come down and it would be there, and it was called the propitiatory or the mercy seat. And here we are centuries later in the prophet Ezekiel, and things have gotten so bad that the glory of the Lord leaves the temple. And what happens in the intervening chapters is the Israelites lose the Ark of the Covenant. And so the propitiatory, the mercy seat is gone. The glory of the Lord has left the temple. And then in chapter 46, Ezekiel has this vision of the glory of the Lord coming back into the temple, and the new propitiatory is basically the edges of the altar. So the mercy of the Lord, the glory of the Lord comes down, and it resides in the temple, but above the altar. And this is so profound for Catholics, because the glory of the Lord becomes present on the altar when the priest says the words of consecration. What started off as mere bread and wine are transformed into Jesus, body and blood, soul and divinity. And so the glory of the Lord comes down. Now, if we take that and we now read chapter 47 for our first reading today, the glory of the Lord comes back into the temple, and Ezekiel sees this image, this vision of he is taken outside the temple, and it starts as a little trickle, but then it becomes a river. And this river is God's grace. It's God's mercy. It's the glory of the Lord. And when it comes out of the temple, it's just a little trickle. But as it goes further, it begins to grow, and it becomes this big river. And what do we know about this river? 1, it's going to go to the sea. And the sea, which represents the Gentiles, the non-Jews, it's going to make the salt water in the sea fresh. So it's like dead water, the Dead Sea, but it's going to become fresh and living water. 2nd, on the banks of this river, there will be fruit trees, and they're going to remain fruitful all year long. They're going to bear fruit 12 times a year. And 3rd, the leaves of those trees will be medicinal, or they will be used for medicine. And now think of when we come to Mass on Sunday, or if you go to daily Mass, we come and we receive Jesus into our hearts and into our souls and into our bodies. And then we go out of the temple, the church, and we go out as a little trickle. But if we cooperate with God's grace, then we can be like that river that Ezekiel saw that flows out into the land, and that is food for people, and his leaves are medicine, and it makes what is dead live. That's the promise that we have in this reading from the book of the prophet Ezekiel. And then if you go to the book of Revelation, in the book of Revelation, it says that in the city of God, it says, I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord God Almighty. Oh my gosh. God's plan is that we will be lifted up into this new city, and we won't need a church or an Ark of the Covenant, because we will see God face to face. And then it goes on that the nations will walk by its light, and to the kings of the earth they will bring their treasures. This is just so wonderful. God's plan is that this will happen. All right? The city had no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gave it light, and its lamp was the Lamb. God's plan is that we will be enlightened by him, that we will worship him in spirit and in truth, and that is how we go forth from the church to be this healing, fruitful, refreshing presence in the world. So if you are comfortable with this, I invite you to do this. Ask the Lord that he make you aware of his presence, and that explicitly ask him for the grace, so that as we come out of church, we can truly be his presence, his glorious presence in the world. God bless you.